Hello and welcome to this week's episode. Is That Your Kid? Episode 2, Week 2. I'm here, Todd Tondera, as well as my lovely co-host, Jake Zerme.
Jake, the Bumblebee Zerme.
What's that mean?
Well, you had, it's my nickname.
The Bumblebee. That's where we're going?
I
wasn't prepared. I was not prepared for this opening bit.
This week you didn't. It's not a bit.
Okay.
I wanted a nickname. You had a nickname last week.
Okay, Todd the Bod.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like a moniker.
I know you don't go by that. I'm certainly not going to go by Bumblebee, but it's got a nice ring.
So the Bumblebee and the Bod.
Well, you could put them together.
The Bod and Bumblebee. The Bumblebee and the Bod. Is That Your Kid? Episode 2. Bada bing, bada boom. The two realest guys in the room, Jake and Todd. I am pretty doped up on Mountain Dew right now. I've had half a 2-liter. And I also said before this pod that I wanted to come in a bit more on fire because I started last week with a lot of ums and a lot of and a lot of ha's. So I wanted to come in more enthusiastic.
You're doing it already.
I'm doing it already.
You are.
And they always said when if you're doing it too much, you're probably not. That's at least how it goes for onstage theater.
Whoa, back that up. Say that again for everybody. What?
What?
If you're doing that a lot, you're doing it too much?
If you're doing it too much, it's probably just enough. When I used to do theater.
Okay.
When I used to do theater, that's what they would say. Like, if you think you're doing it too much, you're probably...
Right on target.
Right on target.
Okay.
And so, this week would be episode 2 of the podcast. We've had some a little bit of interest out there at least.
Yeah.
So far.
Is that your kid? I can't even say it now.
Is that your kid?
Episode 2.
So
by the way, I do know now why it's named this. I've been doing some thinking and I remember.
Okay. Well, that's actually a good segue into our first segment here. We're going to call it, Is That Your Goof? And this segment comes to you that we're going to do this once a pod, and we're just going to talk about what we messed up on the previous pod. And eventually we will have a nice intro to this, but for right now we don't. It's called Is That Your Goof? I'm going to reintroduce myself because as traditional...
You missed a few things.
I missed a few things.
You did miss a few things.
And I had mentioned later on in the pod that when you first meet me, it's not always the easiest, and I come off pretty bad. So just like that, I did. So, very, very quick re-intro.
Okay.
Is, photography, college admissions, but that's what we talked about last week. I've also done a lot of traveling to go a lot of concerts over the years, and a couple of things that have been pretty big in my life that I'd never mention. I'm a weekly reader of comics, so I'm a comics dude, and so if there's any comics questions, you could send those to us, as well as I love soup. That was actually my first love, and my first food that I think I remember eating, at least.
Just loving.
Loving was soup.
All right, top 3. Do you have a top 3?
Yeah, okay. I could do a top 3 real quick.
All right.
Number 3 would be Italian wedding soup.
Okay.
Number 2 would be chicken noodle soup. Number 1 would be beef barley soup.
Beef barley. Minestrone didn't make it on the list.
Nah, it did not. It did not make the list of the quick. Maybe if I thought about it.
Those are 3 solid. Those are solid ones. Now, chicken noodle soup with or without carrots.
What's that?
Some chicken noodle soup doesn't have carrots. Or should I say, some chicken noodle soup has carrots.
Well, I guess, but you could say that like some Italian wedding soup has meatballs, some doesn't.
Isn't that a defining trait?
It could be, but it doesn't mean that it is.
Oh, okay.
Some beef barley soup has carrots.
Has no barley. Oh, carrots.
No, it doesn't. It has to have barley. Then it's just beef soup. Beef stew. Beef stew doesn't have barley.
Beef blank soup.
Yeah. So, yeah. So again, uh, um, soup, comics. Add that to the list.
Shows.
Shows. We didn't.
Yeah, you just said you like.
Oh yeah. I've gone to a lot of concerts over the years,
shows.
and yeah, that's more me than what I kind of said last week. Also, as a part of the same, is that your goof? The scavenger hunt that we spent about 15 minutes on last week explaining. We didn't really explain it well at all. What the idea was. The scavenger hunt. What we're planning on doing, and Jake thought of a better idea. This is not going to be an episode. It's going to be a week-to-week basis. In the scavenger hunt, we made a list of things that are going to be a part of this. So if we find any of these things, we bring it to the ITYK studio and say that we had found it. Now, what we're going to do with the things on this list, we're going to assign the points to everything on this list. And then whoever gets to 50 points first, they will have their own episode about whatever they want. So what we're going to do now is assign point values to what
the items
that we've chosen to bring in for the scavenger hunt.
I have an extra item to add to the list.
Extra item to the list, okay?
Mm-hmm. You want it now?
Yeah, sure.
Hubcaps.
Hubcaps, okay.
That's a good one.
Well, we'll
not your hubcap. You obviously can't pull it off the car.
Okay, I'll write that down.
If you see a lost and lonely hubcap, if you remember, I had that one car that would always just lose its hubcap.
And you have to go get it.
Well, maybe
if you committed to it.
If I knew where I lost it.
Mm-hmm. So okay. So again, the scavenger hunt is going to be on a week-to-week basis. You bring it in. It has a point value depending the item. And whoever gets to 50 points first will have their own episode where the other one just has to deal with it, whatever that episode might be.
Grin and bear it.
So the items on the list that we discussed as a part of the scavenger hunt last week, we're going to assign point values to that. So with that said, since we said hubcaps were a good one, how many points do you think would be for a hubcap?
Out of 50, and we're trying to get to 50.
Well, we're trying to get to 50,
well,
so...
I think before we assign points, we need to figure out how many items we have.
Well,
how many items do we have on the list?
If we're counting what we talked about last week and adding hubcaps, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8.
I think that's fair because again, you could double up on something or triple up on something.
Okay. So
hubcaps, I feel like that's kind of in comparison to some that we mentioned last week. I think it's kind of easy to get a hubcap. Easier.
Just see it on the side of the road, bring it in.
What do we think about
5? 1 to 5 somewhere?
Yeah, I'd say 5 points per hubcap.
Okay.
5 points.
Okay.
And again, to kind of talk a little bit about what we spoke about last week. These were all. Where was I going with that? These items we can't own, and we can't buy. We have to find, or we just have to find about in our everyday life. So we can't buy these, and we can't already have them, and then say, "Hey, I'm introducing this." So. For the scavenger hunt, hubcaps are going to be worth 5 points. Now, Mum, which is Jake's grandmother, pitched the idea of old photographs. Now, the oldest photograph, it has to be a photograph. On the back or front of the photograph, it has to read a date. And the one with the oldest photograph wins.
This scavenger hunt's more of like a contest.
Yes,
we there's only one winner.
Yeah,
for the photo, so maybe that's a higher ranking.
I said 10 points. Or do we want to go?
10 sounds.
10 points.
Fair.
Okay.
I'd say 10 or 15.
Well, I said 10 because that's like a fifth of everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So 10 points to the oldest photograph.
Only one winner. No doubles.
No doubles of that. But you can't. There's only one winner to that.
Yes.
We said closed Scotch tape rolls of any kind. So any kind of tape rolls that are sealed in package, I said 3 points.
Okay.
Because you could find 4 of those, and that could be part of what you have.
All right.
matching baby clothes outfit. So a matching baby clothes outfit. So we're talking a top and a bottom that matches.
So who's gonna be the judge of what matches?
Well, it matches. Like I'm saying, it's an outfit.
Okay.
It has to be an outfit. You know what an outfit is. You see babies.
What about
in
like maybe a onesie? Does that
No.
count? Yeah, sure. I mean, it is an outfit.
But it does. There's nothing it matches with. It's not a shirt and a pants match.
Okay. I don't have any onesies in mind. Like, oh, I know where to get a onesie.
I think you have a onesie in mind.
No, don't.
I'm disqualifying the onesie officially.
Just for that. All right.
Just
no
for that. Just for that.
Top and a bottom then.
So I said 10 points for that.
Just for one of them.
Just for one of them.
That's okay.
Audio of someone screaming the loudest. So that's again.
I thought it was longest.
Longest. I'm sorry. It's audio of someone screaming the longest. The longest. So that's a one-off too.
Yeah, that's another competition. So I say another 10.
I don't want to go that high. I said 8. I wrote 8 just because it's audio.
Okay.
So you just have to look in the internet. So I said 8 points for that. Old political campaign sign. So
I say 5.
5 points. That's what I wrote. 5 points. Something you created when you were under the age of 10. I said 7 points.
All right.
7 points for that. And also a deflated sports ball. So I'd say 6.
Yeah.
6
Anywhere
points.
5 to 8. 6 good.
6 is fair. So again, we're going to bring these into studio when we find them. The first one to 50 points will have their own episode that the other person has to deal with. And that kind of goes a segue into the first part of our scavenger hunt. We have 2 items that we wanted to bring.
I found one.
He found
Todd
one.
found another piece of the scavenger hunt.
And we will put both of these on our Tumblr, which is isthatyourkid.tumblr.com. And then we will repost that to @isthatyourkid on Twitter and go from there. So what we have in front of us, see if we can get good audio on this. This is a deflated sports ball. It's a Dream Team 2 USA basketball. See if I could get it. Am I picking up good audio on this?
Oh, that's gonna sound real nice.
So let's get.
So folks, you can tell, definitely deflated.
Definitely deflated.
I told Todd it looks like an Airbud prop. Those of you there know what Airbud is. Dog that played basketball.
Just tell me when you think it's enough of this.
We're running about 25 seconds worth of it so far. Well, tell us the make and model of this deflated. It's a Spalding.
It's a Spalding.
It is.
And it says moisten needle inflates 7 to 9 pounds. And
it's maybe inflated about 1 pound right now.
Yeah, it was made in 1993 in Thailand. And where you put the air in, it's completely jibbed up. Completely. And this is the basketball. And the reason why I had brought this in, because we're going with the honesty, with honesty here. I'm not positive in what I said last week, but I said it can't have a hole in it.
No, it can't have a stab.
It can't have a stab. Okay.
Couldn't have knifed it and just brought it in.
Well, this guy has a hole in him.
Well, pass it over. I want to see it.
I'll explain where I got it. Explain where I got it. As this was under a weight bench in my basement.
I'm not seeing this. Oh, I see.
It's a slit. There's a slit in the ball, and I found it under my weight bench in my basement. And for those of you who've never been in my basement, you know where I live is a pigsty. So, Jake is over there sniffing it.
It does smell like your basement.
Yeah. So, probably a lot of cat pee on that ball, too.
Well...
That might be... It is a dirty ball.
Well, I trust you to uphold the integrity of the scavenger hunt, so I know that you wouldn't ruin such a fine Dream Team number 2 USA Spalding basketball.
I don't doubt that, in its time, that was a very good ball.
It's got some nice grip.
It doesn't, it's a rare ball, I feel. That's a Dream Team ball.
Well, it could have. Yeah,
So it does have a slit. I pointed out the slit. And
I'd say I'll give it to you.
Okay, so 6 points.
Only because we didn't really talk about the nature of the scavenger hunt. Is it required to bring in?
Yes.
So you have to bring these things in. All right,
Yeah.
folks, I have a picture. One of the items was an old political campaign flyer. You know, the kind you stick in the ground. I found one just last night.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It is Bush versus Quail.
Mm-hmm.
92. Red, white, and blue. American all the way. I have a picture. We'll put it on the Tumblr.
Yes.
We'll get it up.
A picture of a picture.
I can bring it in for next week. I haven't yet. I will.
And that's why I said I don't know if I could qualify that until I see it on the table.
Okay, Mr. Slit Ball over there. Take it easy.
Ball.
Yeah.
Is that going to be my nickname instead of the bod?
Episode 3, Todd the Slit Ball Tondera.
Yeah. It's too bad it's episode 2 though.
I'm saying in the future. Wait for next
Jake
time.
the Bumblebee, Todd Mr. Slit Balls.
Maybe I'll have a different. Maybe next Jake Angel Boy Zerme. Should have saved that one.
Jake Angel Bird Boy.
Angel Boy.
The Angel Boy. The Angel Baby. Oh. Okay. Okay. So, I think, well, here's why I don't feel too bad about that. Because I would feel bad if you didn't have it, like, you can't get it.
It's only my friends.
It's only his friends. So, right now, officially, we're talking official, Todd is winning the scavenger hunt 6-0. 6-0.
6 to a potential 5 points for
But officially 6-0. Shutout so far.
You just wanted to use that. Oh.
So
That's alright. I've already got my episode planned out for when you inevitably lose.
I don't have it planned out. But I did shoot. That's not the proper term. You don't shoot a podcast. You record a podcast. The past 2 days I've recorded 2 bonus podcasts, which you will be hearing in the future. Our mutual friend Ryan Novakovich will be on, and we go through Ryan's March Madness, NCAA bracket style March Madness of his interests. We also get into a lot of different talk about what we did in our past, and also talented artist Angela Musser will be on as well, and we talked about wrestling, so that's out of the way. Wrestling's out of the way.
So even if I lose, I know one of the episodes is
It's
not
already done.
Folks, that's a huge load off my chest. It's a lot of weight off my shoulders.
So in the coming weeks, you'll see a wrestling pod and also a March Madness pod that I will be on. So in that set too, I think Jake will do some pods with his people in the future as well, and fill in for the weeks.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
I'm going to go ahead and fill up more Mountain Dew, which it is just... Did you hear that fizz? Here, let me pour a little more.
He's really shaky over there.
Oh. Okay.
That was pretty shaky.
Mm-hmm. And coming up here, we kind of talked about it, and Jake was really excited about it. In the next coming weeks, for TCGS fans, the Chris Gethard Show fans, we will be soon as Andrew Hot Dog Parrish comes back from South by Southwest, and we figure out Skype calling. He will be the interview on our show, and what we plan on doing here is just telling him our ideas for future episodes. See if he could add some. See if he could disqualify some, and then also give Jake some advice about because they both teach children, so maybe as they say, shoot the shit.
Yeah,
shoot the shit on teaching. And so Hot Dog will be on the show either next week or the week after, probably the week after. And also a quick shout out to Michael and Orlando on the Talking TCGS podcast review podcast, that they have agreed to review our podcast for their podcast. So
That's exciting.
That whole thing is going to be pretty cool. So I think it's this episode they're going to review. So if you want to, like, you know, them off a bit, you could say anything you want.
They seem great.
Perfect. We could look up their Facebooks and then pretend like we have the same interests as them, and then
You know what? Do some investigating.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We could do that on the show. But so how was your week, Jake? Now that we got all the business out of the way.
Pretty good. Went by fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. I found out my dad actually listened to the podcast last week.
Okay.
He liked it.
Your dad liked it.
He said it was good. He had some commentary.
Some commentary.
And advice. He seems to think that it would be cool, and I'm inclined to agree with him a little bit. The way he approached me about it, he said, I have an idea. What if you had penmanship? And I asked him, what? And there wasn't much explaining to do. He just wanted us to compare penmanship, like my handwriting, to yours or any guest that we have on.
Okay.
That was his add-in.
Do we want to do that?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Now, I asked him, you mean cursive or printing? I'm not sure anyone writes in cursive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
No. And when I write my name in cursive, my T's are never, like Todd Tondera, my T's are never in cursive because I don't know what a T looks like.
It's a little too swirly in cursive.
Yeah. So, so it's like a very skinny stick T and then like ODD and ONDER.
Well, your signature is different. I think he's not. I think he's talking about just writing anything. That's not. Okay. That's not. We can make that happen.
What do you want to write?
Well, it doesn't really matter. I'll scribble something down right now. It doesn't.
Write his...
We're talking like a compare contrast. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he had in mind. Maybe we'll just have him come on and
explain. In typical Zerme fashion, not really explained.
Yeah. That's it.
Do you want to maybe write his name, his full name?
I'll write my dad's name.
Okay, and then
is that what you're asking?
And then I'll write my dad's name.
And then we'll compare our dads.
But the thing about my dad's name, it's also my name. My dad's name and my name are the same name.
Well, that's not fair. That's almost cheating.
Well, then I'll write your dad's name. We'll both write your dad's name.
All right, I feel like this is a pretty good sample of actually what I bring to the table when I'm writing. I'm writing things down.
So you're writing his name.
His name.
Maybe this is probably something we won't put on the internet because it has his whole name.
Yes.
Out of context, we're going to be posting a deflated basketball, a picture of a picture on a cell phone in this. So maybe we will not post the name of the name. Jake is over there concentrating right now, and I think he's writing more than his father's name. If you want my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a pretty good representation. Right off the bat, what I've noticed, it's not my best.
Okay.
It's a little bigger than I usually write.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was nervous because you were gonna judge it.
Yeah, I will judge it.
Well, here it is. You can write it on the back.
Get that paper noise right in that mic.
There you go.
All right.
You can use this one. And it is a pencil. And does it matter? What do you write? First impressions of my handwriting.
I thought it was gonna be cursive.
Oh. I'll redo it.
Well, I could read this. So I'm just gonna write.
Yeah, however,
it's interesting. The A and the E connects.
My A's and E's connect, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Another thing about my writing, sometimes my N's are lowercase all the time. Sometimes my N's are uppercase all the time. In any scenario.
Okay, so we have yours and mine.
All right.
I'll let you be the comparison of what that is.
This is your handwriting?
That's my handwriting.
Okay.
And yours.
Now, you weren't trying to like make it look like mine.
No.
Oh, okay. Because it doesn't. It does not.
Okay, well that was the idea.
I'd say, yeah, it's just got some flair.
It's real sticky. By sticky, I don't mean sticky. I mean, it looks like sticks. My writing.
Well, yeah. Okay. It's legible.
Okay.
It's easy to read. No one would mistake anything that you've written.
Mm-hmm. So what do we think? Well,
yours is a little more fluid. Mine's a little more like rigid, I guess is the way I would say it.
Is this what your dad wanted?
I have no idea. We'll have to ask him. This will have to be a two-parter. I'll show him this. Show him this.
And maybe record that. Just say, well, here's this. What's up? Like, what do we need to do with it?
Okay. Well, that's great.
And,
we should have a drawing contest as well.
Okay. Is that something that he wanted?
That should be something that I should ask some of my students. Like, if you were doing a drawing contest, what would you draw? What would the contest be? Like a whale, or
you would ask your students if there was a contest, what would it be? If they'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. If you wanted to have a drawing contest, what would you draw? I'm not sure.
But I mean, that's as far as that could go. I feel because
we've reached the limit. We've reached the limit.
But with that said, you also had a week last week, which was our first episode. We talked about that we wanted to get a kid saying, "Is that your kid?" And we have a clip. We're gonna cut it up and enhance it and throw it at the end of the episodes. And going forward, we're gonna go out on "Is that your kid?" But Jake has he talked to his students about saying, "Is that your kid?" And I'm not sure who else is in the said audio clip, but there is actually some.
It's a colleague.
It's a colleague coaxing as well with Jake to say, "Is that your kid?" Yeah. So we're gonna play that. If you want to put it up to the microphone, just put it up to the microphone.
Let's hear what it sounds like. This is the whole thing.
Multiple takes.
All in one. Okay. Ready, go. Okay, let's do one at a time.
Ready? When we say on the count of 3, you're all going to say it. So when I put my fingers up for the third finger, that's when you all say it together. Ready? Timmy, are you ready? 1, 2.
And that's
it. There's 5 of them. They're all ages 4 to 5.
So all right, let's back up a little bit. Explain the process of how this went down. Dead air.
I approached the teacher and I said, "Hey, I would like to record an audio sample, no video, and I just wanted to make that clear. An anonymous audio clip of your students." And she said, "Oh, sure." She said, "Fine, no problem. What is it going to be?" And I said, "Well, I'd like them to say, 'Is that your kid?' as a question." And she was very, fine with it. So we went to the other room. They're actually playing in the gym. So we walked into the other room, which are a little more quiet. And we tried it out, and you could see it worked to varying degrees.
She didn't have any more questions. Like, she was just like, okay.
No, I told her it was for a podcast, what we're doing. And that was the name of our podcast. So she understands. They had no idea. They were just doing it because they're like,
You just said, say this, and I said, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, I think it has I think that has legs, as they say.
No, you say that.
That has legs? That idea has legs. Nothing.
Keep trying. Keep going.
God willing and the creek don't rise. We'll use that.
Legs.
God willing and the creek. God willing and the creek don't rise is something that I took from my 5th grade teacher. I went to Catholic school, and basically what that means is, in quotations, like presumably. It means presumably. So if you say something like, if somebody's just like, hey Dad, are you gonna cut the grass today? He looks out the window, takes a sip of that coffee, and he goes, "Well, son, God willing, and the creek don't rise."
What? Okay. Are you certain that no one knows what that means?
I'm certain that there is a type of person who knows what that means.
And you're explaining it to the rest of the type of
Yeah.
persons.
Yeah, so, but you have never heard, like, that idea has legs. That means that idea is going somewhere.
Well, I understand where you're going with it, but I've never
From
heard
context
that.
clues.
I've never even heard that from you. That was number one.
Have you heard God Willing the Creek?
Oh, of course. Sure.
From me? There's
Sure.
another one I'm trying to think of.
Oh, there's a bunch.
That I use. That
Oh.
it's just like, that I don't know where I picked them up. I guess there's something
Someone
else.
a phrase that I picked up, and I'm not sure, but my brother will know what this means. Just between you, me, and the lamppost. And then you go on. If you have an opinion about something, it's obviously an opinion.
Just
but,
between you, me, and the lamppost.
And then you'd go on to say,
any like,
whatever opinion you have about.
do you lean in? Like, just between you, me, and the lamppost?
Good addition. I'd say.
Just between you, like, does this voice? Do you do this?
You
voice?
can side talk a little bit. Well, just
between you, me, and the lamppost, and then like, whatever it is.
Sure, it can be. So that's that.
So that's that.
More in the future. I hope to get more recordings. I have other teachers who have already committed to having their students recorded. So there's a line. There's a line for this.
Geez, a podcast gets, 150 views, and everybody.
They're just banging down the doors.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But we did have a few emails that came in that I actually wanted to talk about earlier. You could email us at isthatyourkid@yahoo.com. We had 2 emails come in, and one of them was from a former colleague of mine. Jake knows her.
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah,
Yes, Vegas.
I do know her.
And Vegas and I go back, I guess, a while. We worked together for a good bit, almost 2 years.
Well, hang on. We ran that 5K with her with my busted leg ankle.
Yes, the 5K that we spoke of, Jake and I spoke of last week, with his busted foot, ankle, all that. Vegas actually was the one that put that, not put the 5K together, but got the idea and wanted us to do it. And so Jake met her through that. And she may actually have been the first person that I ever talked to about putting this podcast together. Because I remember, like, after hours where I used to work, when we take a little break from working, I would sit in her office and we would just, like, kind of talk about, like, what we wanted to do. And she was always so positive and supportive. Like, she kept me together when we would work. Like, we'd go through a rough spot, and she was always there. Definitely a mentor for me for a good while. And I just mentioned her, like, I want to do a podcast. And I would always say it. And so she may have been the first person I ever told about the podcast. So when the podcast finally came out, she wrote to us, and her name is Sharon. I'm not going to say her last name. She probably doesn't want that. But her we affectionately call her Vegas, but her name is Sharon. And she said, I look forward to your zaniness. Is that a word? Is that your kid? Am I your number one fan? Yes, yes, yes. Best of luck.
Vegas, you can be.
Yes, Vegas would be the number one fan. She was the first fan because she was a fan of the podcast before.
She knew about it before me.
Yeah, she knew about a podcast that included Jake before Jake did somehow.
She probably even knew what Is That Your Kid meant before me.
Yeah, I don't know that because the working title was the friend group at the time.
Oh, right.
And so, she's very, very young at heart, probably just as young as us at heart. But the reason why I mention that is because she is a little bit older, not old by any stretch of the means. But the reason why I mention that, we also had an email from David, Dave, we'll call him Dave, and he says, I'm a big fan of podcasts, and yours was fun to listen to. I think it would be funny to have me as an early guest, and I can have the oldest guest claim to fame for like one episode. And so,
We're gonna have Dave and then Vegas on.
not to burst your bubble, but he said he's the oldest guest, but Vegas would be the oldest guest. I'm not sure who's older, your father or her, but they all have a running title to be the first, the oldest guest.
I wasn't sure it was a contest, but it should be.
So if there's anybody out there that's real, like, we're talking very old.
We're Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah, Guinness Book of World Records.
Even if you have really long fingernails and you want to come on, you can.
And imagine this. If they had long fingernails, we're very old. We're a ghost, and worked on an airplane.
Whoa. I hope you remember that from last week. That's one of our long-term goals as well here. Get someone on that has worked in airplane services.
Yeah.
You said it. You don't even have to be a part of the flight.
Uh-huh.
You've got an air marshal.
So if you do work on an airplane, isthatyourkid@yahoo.com, isthatyourkid.tumblr.com, and @isthatyourkid on Twitter. Ask us questions, yell at us, and also a kind of a feat that I was hoping would go through, because I know sometimes when publishing your first podcast, it's a bit hard to do, but we are now on iTunes. So for the kids out there, as we're, I guess that's what we're going to say, fans of the show, for the kids, this is, if there's one favor I have for this week, don't do any of what I just said. Go to iTunes, subscribe, download, rate our podcast, and it could be bad or good, but I do want good. So, like, do good, say we're good for a while, and then eventually, if you want to change your name and then trash it.
So review. Write a review.
Write a review.
Good or bad for now.
We have some early subscriptions to the podcast, and I got some pretty kind messages from some friends that said, like, that's really cool, I'm really into it. And so go to iTunes, subscribe to our podcast, and go ahead and download us, show it to your friends, and tell your friends to like it, or even fake like it. Just make sure they subscribe and download. I mean, if they listen to it, that part's out of my hands. But if they want to go that far, and just let them know that that's something that could be done.
Yeah, please do that.
But also, another segment that I wanted to introduce is, it's going to be called "Is That Your Ghost?" Just do spooky noises for like 10 seconds while I just play with the ball. And so that's the first intro for "Is That Your Ghost?" Now, the reason why I bring this up is because we'll have a proper intro later, but I just had like a really stressful week. I was having a hard time sleeping this week for just, my own reasons, and like I think it was Monday or Tuesday night, and I probably slept for about 4 hours, and I had to get up early for work. And I had this dream, and this is something, I'll bring up the text. I had texted Jake, let me see here. Wednesday, March the 5th at 10:24. I said, weird question. That stool I was like sitting on this weekend, is it like more stable than this past weekend, or did somebody replace or fix it? Now, the reason why I mention that is because the previous night, Tuesday night, I had this dream that I have a grandfather I was close to, and he passed away years ago. I had this dream that he came into my bedroom as a ghostly figure, and he told me everything's all right, like everything's fine, like calm down. I'm like, well, this is a pretty typical dream for me to have, because that's what I need. I need fake ghosts to tell me to calm down, like cool it. Everything's okay. You're just going through a week in your life, like chill out, no big deal. And then he told me in the dream, and at the time I didn't get it because it took me a whole day to figure out. He told me in this dream, in his ghostly presence in my room, he was like, I fixed that stool. And I was like, what's that? And he's
Wait,
like,
my stool?
well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. He's like, I fixed that stool. That stool you were sitting on, you had a hard time sitting on the stool. I fixed it. And I was like, I don't know what that means whatsoever. Then the dream was over. So I was just like, I woke up from the dream and I was like, did that really happen? Was that in the dream? Or was it a ghost? But the next the next day, I was just like, why would that happen? What does that mean? And then it came to me at 10 o'clock the next night. And I was just like, holy shit. I was like, I kept falling off a stool at Jake's house. And I was like, is that what he was talking about? Is that what he was talking about? That stool? Because I kept falling off of it. I kept falling off of it last week. I kept,
Almost. Nearly falling.
a couple times. And I was just like, how am I falling off this stool? And so I'm sitting on this stool today. But that's when I texted Jake. I was
How
like,
is it? Is it sturdier than last
that's
week?
what I was remember when I walked in, I was
Yeah.
like, it feels a little better.
Oh.
It feels a little better. And I was like, so a ghostly figure of a dead relative told me that he had fixed his stool and to calm down. And I was just like, what does that mean? And the only thing that I could really think of is this stool I'm sitting on. So with that said, that's why I had texted you, and that's why I kept it since Tuesday, and asked you if the stool was more stable, or did it get replaced? And I was waiting for a text that maybe said like,
Yeah, it broke, and I bought a new one. No.
and then you didn't say it's still there, and I was just like, okay.
Is that better?
And
Is it better than if I would have gotten a new one?
I feel like it is.
Okay.
But so if you ever had
Whoa.
a ghost tell you a stool is fixed at your friend's house, it may be a haunt. So that would be the first segment for Is That Your Ghost? So
Along those lines, before we segue,
well, no,
I
that's
just
what
wanna
I'm
say-
going. Segue to what you have next.
I'm looking at. All right, I've been typing while Todd was telling the stool story. I've been looking on the internet for the most obscure random town. I've been typing in random town names.
Oh yeah.
I tried a few good potential ones, but no pictures. This is the first one with pictures, and I'm gonna say this is looking like a good one for our first a quick town review.
Okay.
It's called Ellison Bay, Wisconsin.
Ellison Bay.
Ellison Bay is an unincorporated census-designated place in northern Door County, Wisconsin, within the town of Liberty Grove, and located on Highway 42 along the Green Bay. As of 2010, the population is 165. Founded in 1872. Attractions include the Clearing, a private center for adult education. What? One of the things on the wiki, deadly explosion. There's pictures, and I'd love for you to take a look. 'Cause
Okay.
they're looking pretty spooky.
I mean, you can just direct it over my way at any point.
Nah,
You know what?
I'll
That's
keep
what
looking.
the computer is.
I'll keep looking at it.
Okay.
On July 10th, 2006, an explosion leveled the 136-year-old Pioneer store. The blast burned down one cottage and damaged another.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know. Ghosts making things blow up? I'm looking at
be
the
the
pictures.
judge.
I'm looking at the pictures. I'm scanning around. I'm on the haunt scale.
Okay.
On the haunt scale, I'm going to give this maybe 3 ghosts.
3 ghosts. 3 haunts out of 5.
You want to make it out of 5?
2
It looks like a small town. No one would know you're missing.
2 haunts out of 2. If anybody's a fan of Dan Klein's fruit reviews, I'm gonna throw that back. 2
There
out
you
of
go.
2 apples. But then,
That's actually what inspired me.
mm-hmm.
3 ghosts out of 5.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking at Ellison Bay, Wisconsin. Look at their wiki. There is a... Okay, what year did you read that the explosion at Ellison...
2006.
Okay, so this is a recently exploded town.
Yeah.
Towns don't explode past the 60s. Name a town that you know that has exploded past the 60s.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a JPEG of the Ellison Bay, Wisconsin damage on the wiki. Kids out there, if you look up Ellison Bay, Wisconsin on wiki, you will see a picture, the JPEG of a fenced-in small area with a cone that's knocked over, and it's just titled Ellison Bay, Wisconsin damage.
You be the judge. You be the judge. You tell us how many haunts it deserves. Take a look at it.
July 10th, 2006, an explosion leveled the 136-year-old Pioneer store and killed 2 vacationers.
For those of you that have been listening, I already read that part.
Are you really?
Yeah, I read that. I left out the part where people died, but you didn't.
No, I didn't. I committed.
Make it spookier. Okay.
Did you read this? Did you read all this?
Just hear it in post.
By the wow, 3 children whose parents were killed in the explosion received over $21 million. Put that on a scale of 1 to haunted.
They're trying to cover something up here.
Oh, more air's coming out of the
Those kids
slit. More air's coming out of the
Still
slit.
playing with that ball.
Of this.
That ball might be coming back to life. It's bouncing back.
Is this ball haunted? It's a haunted ball.
It
No.
seems to inflate itself.
Yeah.
No.
But yes. So, Ellison.
That was a good one.
Ellison Bay, Wisconsin. The clearing is what I want to click on. Here.
Yeah. Let's check that out. Adult education, like ritual education. Mm-hmm. How to do a sacrifice proper. How to do it right.
The clearing.
Okay. Are you looking at the entrance to the school? It's in the woods.
Yeah.
It's not a clearing at all. This is not a clearing if I've ever seen one.
And you know clearings. I think you know.
I'm no expert on clearing. This isn't one.
Oh man. Oh
1935. Man. Wow. It began as a summer estate in 1919. Inspired by folk high schools in native Denmark.
Okay, let's back up. What is a folk high school?
It's Wikipedia, I'll find out.
In my day, we had high schools. It's a folklore.
Yeah, they only teach you about trolls and fairies.
That's your kind of school, right?
You know what? I'd take a couple classes.
Yeah?
Do a semester or 2.
Troll school?
Troll!
We teach how to be a troll.
They just provide adult education. I can't...
A lot of good stuff here.
I think we dug pretty deep. We did some investigating.
Uh-huh. And, lumber and fishing were important businesses in the 19th century, replaced by fruit growing.
What's that business about?
Fruit growing in the early 20th century.
So the fish got too haunted and they had to switch to fruit.
The fish got too haunted. The fish and lumber got far too haunted, and then they're like, "Well, can't do this anymore." But
let's change our angle and let's start investing in propane. Blow up our town.
Within the town of Liberty Grove, and is located Highway 42 along Green Bay.
I read that already too.
So our first town here, Ellison Bay, Wisconsin.
That's good. Well, if we're doing spooky, let's move on to ghost spooks. Ghost goosebumps.
Ghost spooks. Ghost boys.
Did you review a book this week?
I had started R.L. Stein's Stay Out of the Basement, but I have not finished
that
it.
one.
That's book 2. Last week we did Welcome to Dead House, which was my first review. My second review in the coming episodes will be Stay Out of the Basement number 2, but I have not finished that, so...
That's a good one. That's the one with the green hand on the cover.
Green hand on the cover from the basement.
I know that one.
It is a popular one. I'll say that. It is a popular one.
Cool.
But, again, we're looking for your art as well.
We did receive some.
And, episode 2, what I'm going to be submitting to iTunes for the art is, if you guys are on isthatyourkid.tumblr.com, you will see Lisa Bodner, a friend of ours. She put together a baby face while crying, and it is very, very cool. And so going forward, we're going to use that as our iTunes art. So if you want to submit any kind of fan art to us, that's our third piece. So thank you a lot, Lisa, for that. So we're collecting, and the interesting thing about the art that we've got so far is everything is vastly different. So that's really like different color schemes, different everything, which I will say is a nightmare, because if we're talking about branding, we have branded ourselves 3 different ways already, and I was just I'm not even saying.
Ixnay on the Ixday.
Okay. Jake drew me a picture that I'm not allowed to talk about. But so submit your art, submit your questions. isthatyourkid@yahoo.com, @isthatyourkid on Twitter, isthatyourkid.tumblr.com.
Send us a town you want us to review. I like that.
Send us a town. It could be your town. It could be your town where you live.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Don't you dare send more than one town, though.
No,
just one.
Just one town a person. And just let us know how haunted you think.
We'll give our expert review.
So I think this week we're gonna go out on the air deflating from the ball.
That's good.
Hold on. Let's see if I could get it going. Really going for a while. That air coming out.
Todd's trying. He's trying to get some sound happening. Oh. He's kneading the ball.
Oh, I heard something.
You got some pretty strong hands over there.
Yeah. They say I have real strong hands. You ever see me throw a football? Yes. Answer is yeah. Oh, that was here. I think I got something. Oh, I'm trying. You hear that? That's ball air. That's the sound of 6 points.
That's what 6 points sounds like.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week. Jake, I'll let you send it off.
I'm bad at this.
Yep.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks again.